85% of agents never follow up with a client after the closing. That's not a small leak. That's your entire referral business walking out the door. My guest today has sold $500 million in Colorado luxury without ever making a cold call, and following up is most of the reason why. Stay tuned. This episode of Keeping It Real is brought to you by Real Geeks. How many homes are you going to sell this year? Do you have the right tools? Is your website turning soft leads into interested buyers? Are you spending money on leads that aren't converting? Well, Real Geeks is your solution. Find out why agents across the country choose Real Geeks as their technology partner. Real Geeks was created by an agent for agents. They pride themselves on delivering a sales and marketing solution so that you can easily generate more business. Their agent websites are fast and built for lead conversion with a smooth search experience for your visitors. Real Geeks also includes an easy-to-use agent CRM. So once a lead signs up on your website, you can track their interest and have great follow-up conversations. Real Geeks is loaded with a ton of marketing tools to nurture your leads and increase brand awareness. Visit realgeeks.com/keepingitrealpod and find out why realtors come to Real Geeks to generate more business. Again, visit realgeeks.com/keepingitrealpod. And now, onto our show. Today's episode is brought to you by Corded.io. Are you looking for agents to join your brokerage or team? Now, as a real estate recruiter, I can tell you the answer is always yes. But most agents aren't looking to move right now. So how do you know who to contact? Well, what if I were to tell you there's a recruiting and retention tool powered by artificial intelligence that shows you exactly which agents in your local market are looking to leave their brokerage right now, and which agents at your own firm are also looking to leave you? Now, I've been recruiting realtors for 15 years and I've hired over 2,000 agents. I can tell you with no exaggeration, this is the tool I've been waiting for. Corded's AI looks for trends across dozens of variables for each agent in your market and shows you which agents they believe are likely to move. Not only does it do that, but Corded's AI went and visited my recruiting website and read everything I offer. So now when I'm recruiting, Corded's AI tells me exactly what to say based on that agent's needs and what my brokerage can offer. It even writes emails for me. I've never seen anything like it, and I use it every single day. Now, if you are looking to grow your brokerage, Corded.io is the best tool out there. Visit Corded.io to schedule a demo. Again, that's Corded.io. And now, onto the show. Welcome to the Keeping It Real podcast. This is the largest podcast made by real estate agents and also for real estate agents. My name is DJ Paris. I'm your guide and host through the show. And today we have a very special guest, Gwen Snyder. And let me tell you more about Gwen. So she's spent more than 23 years in Colorado luxury real estate. She's currently with the Live Sotheby's International Realty in Greenwood Village in Colorado. She's built her name not just on high-end deals, but also on being one of the most honest, funny, and unfiltered voices in the business. This is the kind who says the things most agents aren't willing to say. Behind the humor is a deeper story. She's navigated real personal hardship while running at the top of a brutally competitive industry, and she's open about what that actually takes. And now she's turning that experience outward with a mentorship program for agents called Referable, built less around scripts and hustle, more around becoming the kind of agent that people can't stop referring. So she's here to tell you about what really drives a referable reputation and what luxury real estate teaches you about people and why authenticity beats polish every time. I want you to follow her on Instagram, Gwen Snyder, Snyder with a Y. We'll have a link to that in the show notes. And Gwen, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. So great to be here.
Excited to talk to you. And I want to start with, you had told us we asked you what was the worst advice that you could remember receiving. And you had said the worst advice was that you have to cold call your way to a successful business, but that you've never done that and you never will. So take me back to the beginning. So brand new license, no past clients, nobody owes you anything. And if you're not calling strangers, where does that first deal come from?
Well, I actually started in California.
Right.
So how I got into it was through someone that was in one of my mentor groups. Um, I was pregnant with twins, had a 4-year old, was just had finished shooting a huge commercial. My stomach was hurting, and this woman had sold her sound company, said, I think you should be a realtor. And that was sort of my first introduction to another woman really believing in me, in my abilities. And I had not even thought of that. And so I got my license and began working with her. And she did not say cold call. What hurt for me was relationship building, which is what I'm good at, is to be authentic to myself. So, how do you meet people? You have to talk to people. If you don't like people, it's going to be very hard. And I think that's why for some people they do like a cold call because it's not a personal thing. It's just dialing for dollars.
Yeah.
And that's a personality thing. It's not mine. So when I moved back to Colorado, yes, the managing broker I was working with was like cold call, cold call. I would rather lick a cat's vomit than ever cold call because it's not authentic to me. I don't, and first of all, how do I know I would want to work with that person? Maybe they're a jerk. Maybe they're a serial killer. I don't know you. So I'm not calling you. And now, this is not a knock to anyone who does. Some people are really good at it. But my personality, I'm not. I actually had a friend that said, please hire my soon to be daughter in law. She's cold calling, getting hung up on, be told to F off all day long. She's so discouraged. So I had her actually come work for me for almost 2 years. And she was just like, wait, what? Because it's relational. So I teach a little bit differently. And anyone who cold calls, God bless you, because that is hard stuff. But I'm not going to do it. Never have. Won't do
Yeah,
it.
I once was chatting with a realtor, and she was doing the Brian Buffini method, which is a very good system. And
Very
one
good.
of the one of the things that Buffini teaches is these pop buys, where you sort of swing by with a little gift and a little cutesy, message. And she goes, I just don't want to do that. I don't know what to do. I said, well, you don't have to do the pop buys. Like if that makes you uncomfortable, then don't do the pop buys because your clients are going to see that. And if you're feel like you're bothering somebody, there's a million other things you can do. It doesn't have to be
A million.
pop buys. And so I think you're right. As a lot of people think, I even know people that aren't comfortable working their sphere, even if they have one when they start. And they're like, I don't want to screw up with my friends. And what if I do something wrong? And so there's a lot of ways that we traditionally are told how to start the business that might not be our jam. And certainly calling for sale by owners or expired listings, sure, that's like an exercise in tolerance of can I accept a lot of horrible rejection? And maybe that's good for you to develop a thicker skin, but it is not everybody. In fact, it's probably 99% of agents would rather not do that. And what they'd rather do is go out and build relationships. And so I love that you teach us. So we mentioned this in the intro that, you call you sort of teach to become a referable broker, but that sounds kind of like a personality trait, but that's not really what it is because personalities aren't really transferable. So let's make it a process for our audience. So let's say a deal closes on a Friday. What actually happens in the next 90 days that turns this client that just closed into 3 clients?
Well, I think it's for one, people say, how do I be referable? Well, you're memorable. You're someone that's needed. So for me, it was doing things that other people did, knowing when to do them before they were asked.
Yeah.
That I started being of service. When you are of service to someone, they're like, wait, what? That's
I like
kind of
you just said
cool.
something very profound, and I'm sorry to pause or interrupt you, but you said something very profound that I think I want to just reiterate. So you said be thinking of things that my clients might ask or request before they know to ask or request it. And I'm going to solve those problems before they even know that's a thing. That is an amazing sort of maxim to live by as a real estate agent. If you can
Yeah.
if you can say, I know what needs to be done and I don't want this person to have to call me to ask, I'm just going to do it. And you are going to be, that is one of the most referable sort of way. It's one of the most ways to get people to go, oh my God, you got to talk to Guinevere. She's amazing.
Yeah, and being of service. So you're doing things that obviously sometimes your clients don't want to do. A lot of agents are too lazy to do. And so I end up doing those things because I care about the person. And I think that is such a part. Yes, I can talk to you about CRMs and how I follow up and how I really build my business. But I would say why people keep referring me and I am referable is because of that. It's being a concierge realtor. It's
Yeah.
doing things, being the first to get there and the last to leave. You've heard that. That's true in real estate. Doing most and more is what you got to do. And every situation is different. You might have a divorced couple. So being of service to someone there is different than someone who's been married. Like everyone has different needs. And I like to look at it and problem solve ahead of time. And I'm usually always pretty right of what's going to come up. And then I get it out of the way. And they're like, how did you know that? Well, because of experience and because of giving a crap. Like so I don't know that everybody does. And it is a lot more work. But that is how you become referable by
And
doing
the
more
sort
work.
of the irony is, yes, it's more work. However, it actually leads you to do less marketing to find more clients. So it's one of those things where
Absolutely.
you you can you can purchase leads if you just never want to really try to get referrals. And okay, there are people
Yeah.
that do that and they're successful with it, and God bless them. It seems like the harder path in my mind, but if you just go above and beyond, and the good news, like you said, is that not everyone does that. In fact, most
Mhm.
don't, right? So going even just a little bit beyond where the average agent would is probably a massive win. I want to talk about a statistic of yours I think is really, really fascinating. So your list to sale ratio is almost 100%. It's like 97%. Now,
Mhm.
our audience might hear that and think you're an amazing negotiator, and you probably are. But I also think it means something else. I think it also suggests that you tell sellers no if they have a price that's just not realistic. So, what do you do when you're in that situation where somebody's like, we all overvalue our properties? Even I do it. We all do it because we're emotionally invested. How do you have those conversations with sellers?
Well, before I take a listing and I go walk through the house, and I don't give people a price the day that I go there. I know a lot of people do. I do not, because I don't like leaving money on the table. I like money. I know you like money. I know the client likes money. So what we do, the tough conversations I have is I say, we are not going to market until these four things are done, or these 10 things are done, or whatever. And then help them with the vendor. I help them get it ready. So I do so much stuff before a house goes to market. And that helps to sell because one, buyers, what do they want? They want turnkey. They have no imagination. They are just showing houses waiting to get their commission. So they're not really like, oh, I want you to have this house. They don't care. They want to make their money and move on. So it's really up to us in our listing to have our house ready to go. Well, you see how freaking amazing this house is. So I have those tough conversations. And sometimes people say no, and I don't take that listing.
Yeah. I love that. You go in like a consultant would go to a business who it hires outside counsel to come in and say, hey, evaluate our
Yes.
inefficiencies. And you go in and you kind of, with your notepad, you're going around, okay, this needs to, and then you come back to them with a list of, I need these things done because I
Mhm.
need to get you top dollar. And these are absolutely essential. And so I love that because that's very different from just coming in and getting the listing and going to market and being,
Yeah.
thrilled that they said yes. You're going in like a consultant and coming back to them, which I think is brilliant.
Thank you. Yes. And it shows them that they're going to get more money for their home. But I also do a ton of marketing. I do probably way more than most agents do. A lot of agents do a lot of marketing. A lot of agents just put a listing on MLS. So I have a system to how I market each property.
Can you talk a little bit about that? Because you're absolutely right. One thing that all agents have, is easy web distribution. You put it on the MLS, it's going to be on every portal.
Mhm.
Although who knows, that might change. We all know there's some, especially here in Chicago, we have the Zillow Compass lawsuit fight going on right now, all about our MLS and if that's going to, anyway. But right now it's still the listings go everywhere online, but you do more than that. So tell us more about how you go beyond just throwing it on the MLS.
Well, it's getting it ready and putting it on the MLS. And I don't know if you've ever seen this. People will just slap it on the MLS with no regard to how you have a flow of your photography,
Yeah.
which is very, so first, high-end photography. No camera photos that people still ironically do.
Isn't that crazy?
Amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's freaking, it's irritating because I'm like, oh my gosh, your client deserves so much more. So we have the best photographers. I absolutely love. So it's great photography. Going to the shoot and being there with your photographer, right? So that you can say, "Hey, I want this specific shot." So going to the shoot, do not just doing just the stills, but getting the aerials and getting a video. I started adding video to most of my listings and it has been incredible. Putting it, obviously we have to embrace Instagram and sort the social media platforms. So shooting that as well. We have two MLSs on here in Colorado, so I'm on both. And I have an extensive CRM that I've chopped up. So I have some that go out to athletes, some that go out to my wealth, some that go out to agents, some that go out to investors. And it's just knowing where those parts of the pie are. And I now send video. I don't send still photography. People love to look at video.
Yeah.
And so I would say if you're not embracing video, it is intimidating, embrace it because it's the future. And so those platforms are really important. And it is extra money. It's not cheap to do all of this. But what I find is that if you have skin in the game, your client sees you have skin in the game. They see how hard you're working. And I get those referrals for that too. I mean, I have legacy referrals where I'm doing someone's kids and their grandkids, you know, because they're like, gee, we'll take care of you. We know this will get sold. We know the extensive marketing she'll do, and just how I platform their home.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. I was thinking when we're talking about building this referral-based business, I'm kind of hearing the audience's pause on this because they go, "This all sounds great." And the thing I don't like about relying on referrals is that I have to wait for somebody to reach out to me with an opportunity. And sometimes my sphere just doesn't have them right now. And
Mhm.
so I want to I want us to talk about why that's kind of the wrong way to approach it and what
Mhm.
an agent can do to really provide value while they're waiting for opportunities to come in. So let's just say nobody was calling right now. You just, one of those weird moments where you don't have anyone calling you with business. What would you be doing to help drum up, more opportunities?
So that is a great question. And I'm glad you asked that question. So everyone should be working their CRM or their sphere. I have cut mine down so it's the filet mignon of CRMs. Right. So the people that don't refer me or I'm not going to work with them again, they're typically not on that. So I have a system of touches that I reach out. But I will tell you what I started doing since working with a coach almost 3 years ago. My goal is to meet 60 new people a year. 60.
Which is, by the
Well,
way,
that sounds
one
horrible.
a week. That is one a week. That is
It's
not
no big
hard to
deal.
do.
It,
Yeah.
it, it is so easy to do. And what I found is you meet those 60. One, I love meeting people. Not everyone is good. You're not going to all 60 go, I want to be best friends with that person. But what it does is it keeps you sharp. And I have learned that meeting those people, they do. It leads you to something else. It is a relationship business. You've got to be meeting people on a regular basis. So I might meet for coffee, breakfast, lunch. I rarely do dinners because I want to be home with my family. But I do have a list and I do 60 people every year. And that has helped me. So what I tell agents is don't give up on your sphere. You're not cold calling people to your sphere to go like, do you have a referral for
Right.
me?
Right. Or
They
are you
they
buying?
want
Are you selling your home right now? Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
Do you want to sell your, it's personal. Hey, Mr. Okay. Hey, my best friend so and so, I'm calling because I care about you. I was thinking about you. What's going on? How's it
Yes.
going?
Yes.
So that is kind of how I've built my business with no pressure on them or me. And yes, the referrals come because real estate is relational. And so I think people are afraid of that, but you have to trust that will come. Now, also there's a process as you're selling your homes. What are you doing to reach out to that neighborhood after you've sold something? You should
Right.
be doing a follow up. I send out 50 to 100 postcards of just sold, what is sold for, something of value on the back from me. And that goes out to that whole neighborhood. So there's pieces that agents need to put in place. I think when I've coached or I've spoken at these events, agents don't do anything. And I'm like, but you are only one you. I am only one me, only one DJ, only one Guinevere. Who wants to work with me may not want to work with someone else, and vice versa. So use your sphere and gives them something of value and be authentic. That's how it comes. And I think people just get scared, but they don't have to.
Right. I love that.
Just gotta
The
try it.
Yeah, and let's go back to the meeting, basically 1.2 people a week or whatever that ends up being to get to
So
60.
easy.
So it's so easy, and I'm going to put some numbers to this because you can even, our audience, if you don't believe my numbers, throw it into Chat GPT and ask if this is accurate. I know it is because I did that recently. If you meet 60 people in the next 365 days, in that next 12 months, it is estimated that a minimum of 10%, but more likely 15% of those people
Hmm.
will need a realtor within that time. So even if you just meet 60, that's a possible 9 future deals. Now, you're not going to get all of them, maybe, because maybe their best friend's a realtor. Okay, so let's cut that in half. That's 5 extra deals for meeting one person a week, basically. And I mean, that's a pretty amazing return on investment. So it is
Yeah.
that simple. It's I always, it's funny. I remember listening to Brian Tracy. He's like a self-improvement business guy. And he said, I always thought this was so simple. He goes, if you want to double your income, just double your prospecting. He's like, you don't even have to get better. You just have to double the amount. I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. So of course you
Yeah.
should get better, but that's right. Meet 60 people. And if you meet 60, then try to meet 120 next year and you're going to double your output. Okay, let's go
Yes.
back. Let's go back to now. I've interviewed hundreds of top agents on the show. And the thing that I hear about referrals is that it just, again, it takes too long. So what I love that you said is you call your clients, your sphere, and you actually build a relationship. And
Mhm.
how often are you calling? Like, what makes the most sense for your business?
So I call everybody once or twice a quarter. And some people may be more because you might run into someone who sees them. And I'm very active in philanthropy and I'm very active in helping agents. So I might talk to someone multiple times, but if there's someone on my list, I'm like, I haven't talked to them well. I make sure that I have a quarterly, each quarter has my list of calls and I mark it off and I decide, okay, did I text them? Did I call them? Did we have coffee? Did we have lunch? I also send them something once a month, and I make sure on the holidays I send something. So they're always getting a touch from me. I also have a newsletter, and I make it interesting, not boring. I don't copy people. I don't do the blanket one from my office. I
Right.
do
Nobody
my
wants
own.
that.
Everybody thinks that sucks. And so they get a newsletter from me, and it's got like one of my cool houses I just listed, and it's all video. And so
Right.
they're like, but looking at that's so you have to think, do you want to give something of value or do you want people just to delete it? So I try to think, what is interesting? What would I want to watch? When an agent sends me something, if it's a video, I do want to see what they're doing. I think it's pretty cool. If it's some boring stat that 10 other people have sent the same thing, I delete it. So I think
Yeah.
we've got to remember offer something of value. Why are you sending this to them?
I love that. Well, quick change of topic just because I have to
Okay.
ask the story before I forget.
Oh gosh.
My producer's on. I said, you got to make sure you ask the story. So
Oh boy.
I heard that, and you've walked buyers through thousands of properties, and you once were working with a very well-known fashion family who opened a locked door in front of you, and what they saw was not what they would have expected to see. Can you share that story, because it's a great one.
Yeah, that was in when I was selling in Los Angeles. So it was when I lived in California. And we went into this very beautiful, um, gorgeous, contemporary home that with a very conservative homeowner. And I was like, this is great. Well, then part of the property we had to go downstairs, and as we were outside, so you had to exit outside the house and you go down these stairs to another part. And I kind of got a weird feeling inside, like a tingly feeling on my hair of my arms, and I was like, what the heck? And I looked at my clients, and we kept going, and the door was dead bolted. And
Right.
and so she brought the key, and they're going, what the frick? And she opened it, and she was a dominatrix. And so
That
the
was her.
whole
That was her
room,
dominatrix studio. That's funny.
I was like, she looks so conservative. And like, I just could not imagine. And it had everything. And I'd never seen anything up close. It was quite fascinating because you're looking at stuff going, what in the hell?
Yeah. Yeah.
And clearly she had a full clientele. And so we went in and toured that special place and left. Now we did not buy that house, but it was really interesting. And no judgment to her. And what a good side hustle. I mean, I
Yeah,
guess.
but also, again, maybe like from a marketing perspective, you would think the listing agent would be like, we got a problem we need to talk about here
Yeah,
because
no.
many people are not going to buy this property because of this thing. No judgment, but
Yeah,
that's just the reality. But again, yeah, so I just thought that was such a funny story, and a
it's
lot
a
of
funny
agents
story.
have a version of that story where you open
Yeah.
up the door and you see something that you wouldn't expect to see on a listing. Okay, but something changed this year that I don't know how many agents have really connected to yet. And it's that clear cooperation it's basically dead. I know it's technically still a thing, but it's not really. And Sotheby's own 2026 report says that 81% of their agents hear that privacy is the client's top concern. And if the best inventory increasingly doesn't hit the public market for privacy reasons, your network isn't branding as much of your
Yeah.
brand anymore. So it's access. So am I overstating that? Tell me your thoughts about that.
Well, I mean, obviously, if you get your house on the market, you're the buyer pool is huge. When you're doing an off-market listing, it's really hard. It's definitely harder. And some people have to do it. They have certain reasons, like, they just had a death
Someone's a
in the family. They just
celebrity, or yeah,
someone's a celebrity, they're super private. They don't want everybody seeing photos of the inside of their
sure.
house. They're scared. And so, yes, we like to go to market, obviously, because you want everybody. I mean, you build these relationships with people at what every company, Compass, Keller Williams, Remax. So, I mean, I have agents in my CRM from everywhere. And that's the spice of life is the variety and working with such great human beings at different companies. You want obviously everybody to see it. So I get it. And it's a hard thing. It's a hard thing. And some people really, I know an agent, all she does is off market. Like that's her shtick, is everything is off market. That's definitely not mine. I like going to market, which is why I do all the videos and I do all the marketing of it so that it goes across all the platforms because you're really exposed because obviously all of our information is aggregated through the MLS, so it goes everywhere. I
What do
hope
you
that
think?
answered your question.
No, it's a perfect answer. And I want to talk about luxury because so many agents, that's their goal is I want to do luxury because of course the price points are higher, the commissions are higher, and
Yeah.
and they don't always know what is required or what the way to get to luxury. So I would say, what's the biggest misconception that agents have about making that a goal? Like what do they not understand about luxury?
Well, I would say work your niche. Everybody has their sphere and niche. Yes, everyone wants to work luxury. I get it. I too get it. But I will say, I had someone that shadowed me that I was training and mentoring on a luxury deal. Halfway into it, they said, I effing hate this. I would rather do five small deals than deal with this bullshit. And the reason why is because when you are dealing with something luxury, the error way down here, room for error low. You have to know things ahead of time. You have to be on it. You're there for every showing. You're getting the house ready. There's no lockbox laziness. Like it's just such a different animal. So I think everybody can do luxury. I don't think it's just for some people, but you have to live, eat, and breathe it. And so how you do that is being faithful at a 600,000, then being faithful at an 800, then being faithful at a million. And then for me, it's like that jump, you know, I kept jumping on referrals for people because they saw what I did, because I respected their home, because I got there early and turned on all the lights. One of the greatest things that someone ever told me is if you're not early, you're late. I'm
Yeah.
always early and I'm known for it. And I think getting a home ready, whether you have to make their beds or, I mean, I've cleaned kitchens, I've done crazy stuff in $3 and $4 million homes. They're so grateful that there's that level of attention. So you want to do luxury, be prepared to work your ass off. That's what I will say.
Yeah, and be willing to sometimes you're serving different masters. There's people
Yes, you
who
are.
might have teams that and they have accountants and lawyers, and you may be
Yes,
working with a number of people aside from the person that's going to live there. And so that's
correct.
also, yeah, also something that's
I had
challenging.
one where the house manager had to be there with me on every showing.
Yeah.
And I was fine with it. I actually loved, she knew more about that house than me. I mean, she walked with me through every room. She was definitely listening to what I was saying, but I think you can learn from every situation. The whole point of real estate is to grow, right? Be challenged and grow and be able to teach other people what you know.
Yeah, that's so true. It's these are all skills that people can build. And you just have to be self-aware. You have to be self-aware enough to know where you're weak and where it would benefit you to
Hmm.
get stronger, and then also where you're weak and you just should give that to somebody else to do, right? To
I
delegate,
agree.
because you can't do everything perfectly and you're just not going to be able to. I want to talk and I think this is where coaching comes in, because you have a coach. I think you also help agents. um, how important is it to have a coach?
Well, I'll tell you, everybody hits a wall of what they can know. And then you want to learn. The only way I can explain it, it sounds kind of dumb, but I know what I know, but I don't know what I don't know.
Yeah.
And I felt that way for a long time. I had felt like I had plateaued. I was pretty stretched, very thin after COVID and working. And I was trying to find a coach. And the coaches that I would find, I ended up coaching. I was like, I'm not getting anything out of it. And then I found this amazing coach through a friend who said, hey, I want you to talk to my coach. And he was the person who knew what I didn't know. He did a total audit of my business and he poked holes and he said, here's where you're weak. Here's where you don't have this. Here's where you're not the CEO of your own company. Here's where you're excelling. And I was just like blown away because he helped me get systems and processes in place. And when you are doing luxury and you're doing volume like I do, you have to have systems and processes or you're just going to burn out and die. I mean, it's just impossible. And so I think it's extremely important to have a coach or a mentor. You know, we all need someone to call and bounce things off of. It doesn't matter how good you are. Doesn't everybody need a shoulder? So for me, I did. I have a couple of agents I really respect that I can call for advice, but having that coach, and he took coaches top one percenters. So he knows what he's doing. And some of it is stuff that you're like, duh, like, why don't I do that? I think we don't get taught how to do real estate. We get thrown into sales and we forget it's a business. You're the CEO. Who do you have helping you and where are you weak? Let's make it stronger. And so he's
Yeah,
helped me with that.
I love that. And all the world's top athletes in every single sport have coaches. So, if the
Yeah.
very best people have coaches, I think probably would be helpful for the rest of us too. So I want to
Yeah.
I want to go back to being referable, because so many agents go, yes, I want more referrals. And they decide to really focus on that. Where do most agents blow it in like the first month? Because we know people get excited, they start to do something. Where do you see it kind of fall apart for agents?
Well, after you do a deal, right? Most agents, 85% of agents don't follow up with their clients. I
Ever,
do. I follow up with their
ever.
clients ever.
Yeah,
DJ, ever.
I
They
know.
don't call a week later, 2 months later. Hey, how are you doing? What's going on with you? Do
How's
you
the
need
house?
anything? How's the house? Hey, I missed you. That was really fun hanging out all the time. What's going on? They do nothing. So first thing I would say is start calling the people you sold houses to. Check in on them. Add them to your CRM and follow up. Especially they need you after they've moved in. What's going on? So I would say they don't do that. The second is even the CRM that they have of their family and friends, you're not calling to say, "Oh, I'm desperate. Can you give me a referral?" It's relational. You're calling to say, "How's it going? Is there anything that I can be of service to?" One of the things I always say is I have such great people that I can refer out for, you know, if you need a plumber, an electrician, I have a painter. Agents call me all the time to use my resources. Sometimes it's that. Sometimes it's, hey, I see it's your birthday coming up. Happy birthday. What are you doing? I mean, I have a client that moved to Florida. He still calls me when he comes to Colorado and says, we're actually going to dinner on the 7th. Hey, you want to go to dinner? And I'm like, yeah, I do. Because we laugh. That's the other thing. I have learned to have fun. If you can laugh with people, they want to be around you. And I love
Yeah,
to laugh. You can't
I
be a
love that.
grumpy.
So let's give an example of what you would do in this situation. So let's say
Okay.
you wake up tomorrow, every you have all of your knowledge, you have all of your skills, but we plucked you up and we put you, maybe in a different part of the country where you didn't have any contacts. So nobody has your number, nobody owes you any favors, you haven't, earned any referral business, and you still refuse to cold call because that's not your thing. So
Yep.
what do you do in that first 90 days if you're starting from zero there?
You start filming because social media is the greatest platform to reach everybody, right? Film.
Yep.
Where are you? Hey, my son just did this. He had to move to Texas. He had to start over. I was like, you worked for me for a long time, dude. You know what to do. Get involved in groups, get involved in something with your kids and your wife. How can you do that? Get out there to meet people. So I told him, meet 60 people. You're brand new. So he did, started meeting people. The other thing is start filming your life. Yes, it's hard for everybody. I don't like talking about my personal life. So don't film your favorite coffee shop. You've got to get out there and be visible. I'm in a new state. I'm still the same agent, but guess what? Now you have me here. I mean, people want to help you. People generally do want to champion the people that they love.
Can we talk about the use your go to your favorite coffee shop, because that very specific idea is so brilliant, and I'll tell you why. Well, you know why, but I'm going to tell the audience why. What you do is, and this doesn't matter, again, real estate's hyper local, you want to support your local businesses, and whatever your favorite coffee shop is, or burrito place, or dry cleaner, or doctor, whatever, you go to them and say, you're my favorite X, I need everybody in this area to know about you, I think you're amazing, can I come in and do a quick, like, maybe minute long
Yeah,
interview with you, just asking, why'd you start the coffee shop, like what makes you
that's
different,
it.
like. And first of all, the owners are going to be so grateful because nobody does this. Like people call and ask them for money to film those kind of marketing, things, but you're not asking for money. You're like, I'm going to tag you in this too. So if you want to, as a thank you, if you want to like and comment it and send it out to your people, great. But I just want everybody to know about this place. I mean, you are doing so much goodwill, and that's even just doing that is going to net you so much positive energy from the clients of that coffee shop, as well as the owner and the employees. But it's shocking how many agents won't do it.
I do it with Enstrom's Candies. That's a locally owned. It's the best toffee you've ever had. But again, no one had done that. We go in all the time and shoot and laugh. And then I do something with Veronica Beard. They give 10% back to my charity at UC Health for kids by just inviting women to come shop. We film all of it. I just feel like agents got to get out there. Everybody, like you said, everybody has a favorite place. Everybody's going to let you film. And if they won't, okay, so what?
Yeah,
So move on
no
to the
big deal.
next thing. What's the big deal?
Yeah, it's such a great idea. I love that you gave your son the film, put some of your personal life on there, what you're willing to share, talk about your passions, talk about real estate, talk about your favorite vendors in town, and get yourself out there. So, okay, here's my last question. So,
Okay.
you've been super open about the fact that you have gone through, we haven't talked about this yet, and we don't need to get specific if you don't want to, but you have had some real serious challenges in your life
Yeah.
behind the scenes that not related so much to your business while you were building this incredible business. So most
Correct.
agents like to act like that part just doesn't exist in my life. I'm not willing to share it or sort of deal with it. And I want to talk about like what does a listing appointment look like on a day where everything at home might be falling apart? Like, how do you get through that?
So that's a great question. I like to call it the power of the pivot. When something terrible happens in your life and you are forced to pivot and still function. For me, my husband had a brain tumor removed and I had three little kids and he had a horrific 6-hour surgery and I didn't know if I was going to be a widow and I wasn't making what I made now in real estate because I had little kids. So I would just try to sell a house every 3 months and I supplemented my husband's income. Well, if you think your spouse is going to pass away and you don't know, you better figure it out. So for me, I prayed, God, if you take him home, which I don't want you to, I'll be okay. But and if you spare his life, I'll be okay. But help me double my business because what is this going to look like? He's got an acoustic neuroma brain tumor. Well, I don't know what this is going to look like when he gets out. Now he did make it, but it was a really hard recovery. And so I did. I had no time to feel sorry for myself. I had no time to boo-hoo, wah, wah, wah at a listing appointment. I had to make money, period. And that was my focus to get home to my children and my husband and to make sure our life didn't change because it had changed. And yes, it wasn't fun. He was falling down. They cut his hearing. They cut his balance on the left side. He's totally perfectly fine now, 10 years later. But in the midst of it, while you're keep holding your kids together, yeah, you're going to have to go to those listing appointments and you're going to have to push it down real deep like a normal person. And then later, I'd get home. I would crawl into my bathtub after the kids were asleep and I'd bawl.
Yeah.
I'd cry, I'd pray, I'd journal, and that's how I got through it. But what that showed me is I can double my business.
Yeah.
I'm freaking amazing. You're amazing. When we face those challenges and we somehow survive them and grow, what you have to offer to someone is so like I could talk to women or men that are broken or hurt and say, I totally get it. I'm bawling on the floor, begging, for my husband's life. You can do this too. And the power of the atmosphere then, like I have now, that's what really started me on, okay, mindset is everything. My mindset was I'm doubling my business. I don't care what they say. I don't care what it looks like. I'm doubling my business. And that is one of the most powerful tools we have is our brain and our self-talk and believing in ourselves. That's why we should never tear anyone else down. Build them up, baby.
Yep, it's yes. And if you're tearing someone else down, you're really talking about yourself unconsciously. You're
Yes.
really, it's called, I always call it the spot it, you got it. So if you're criticizing others, odds are it's something about you, and it's just not good for you. It's not
Yeah.
good for them. And
Mm-mm.
anyway, all right, here's what I want everyone in our audience to do before our next episode. So I want you to open your database and I want you to pull 5 past clients that you've let slip through the cracks. No judgment, no shame. We've all done it. So these are people you probably haven't talked to in a year, and you should. Now, I don't want you to
Yeah.
send a mass email, not a market update. 5
Mm-mm.
individual texts. Each one has to include one specific thing you remember about them. It's maybe their child, their dog, their awful wallpaper, the basement of the place they bought. You're not asking for anything. You're not talking about real estate. You just want to reach out to them, show them you care. Do that before our next episode. Also, I want to tell all of our audience, Guinevere lives in Colorado. A lot of people get second places, or sometimes a lot of them retire to Colorado as well. So she has opportunities to help your clients if you have people that move to those markets, skiers, for example. So, Guinevere, what's the best way that an agent could reach out to you to build a relationship?
Well, DM me, follow me on Instagram and DM me, or call me on my cell phone. It's public. Text
Yep,
me.
it's
It'll be
easy to
your
find.
first chance to reach out. Because what I will say is, I get so many referrals from other agents. That's another thing you and I didn't even talk about. Like the power of referring other people that you care about in other states because they're going to treat your clients the way you would. So yes, reach out to me. We'll do something.
I love that. So you're going to follow her on Instagram at Guinevere Snyder, Snyder with a Y. There's a link to that in our show notes. And I want to, on behalf of the audience, thank Guinevere for telling us how to run a successful business, not just in luxury. You should do all of the things she mentioned, no
Yes.
matter what your niche is, because we didn't talk specifically about how you do luxury, because that's not as important as helping people build up their skills. You just gave them all sorts of great ideas of how to be more referable. So thank you on behalf of our audience. On behalf of Guinevere and myself, we want to thank the audience as well and say
Yeah,
thank you for
thank
making it to
you.
the end. We appreciate you. You help us make this podcast continue to exist for 8 years now. And the best way that you can help us is tell a friend. Think of one other agent that needs to hear this great conversation with Guinevere. Shoot them a link. We would appreciate that. Also, leave us a review. Wherever you're listening to this, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever, let us know what you think of the show. We take your suggestions seriously because this is for you. It's not for me. It's not for Guinevere. It's for you. So tell us what we can do to improve. And thank you to our sponsors. Go connect with Guinevere. She's clearly an amazing realtor, and she is a fun person, and she's just a nice, good human being. So reach out to her, and we will see everybody on the next episode. Thanks, Guinevere.
Thanks, TJ. You're amazing. Thank you.